My Pineville Heist movie was an 8-year journey from script to actually getting it out to show to audiences in the cinema. And so in today's era of technology where cameras can shoot quick and cheap, and we can go out there, anyone can make a movie right now, which is fantastic in many ways. But to me, I always like to say that the content is king, that you have to have a really good screenplay, you have to have a really good idea before you go to make a film. And so 20 years ago when I finished film school, I wanted to make a feature film, but I probably wouldn't have been ready instincts-wise. I probably wouldn't have been ready to have the right content to actually turn into a feature film. And so I learned patience and also a mix of tenacity. And so 8 years ago when I came up with the idea and I wrote a treatment for the Pineville Heist, I started on the process of working on writing the screenplay. But funnily enough, as a writer, I hate writing, which is a very weird thing to say, but I like to work with a co-writer. I like to bounce ideas off someone, because sometimes you end up going off in the wrong direction. So I worked with a co-writer by the name of Todd Gordon, who grew up in the same town with him in Canada, and we collaborated on the screenplay together. We spent a couple of years working on it. We worked with some really good script editors and consultants to help us make sure that we had a solid plot and a solid story, and then went off on the journey of trying to find the money to make a film. I mean, I really should have been a painter, because a painter can practice their craft daily. You can just buy a $20 canvas and paint and repaint and paint over and buy another canvas and paint, right. And you can learn the instincts of being a director or a painter, right? And so as a director, you need lots of money. I mean, to assemble a cast and a crew, to find the equipment and the gear and the locations and the costumes and all that stuff takes money. Even a low-budget film somehow still has to find a way to. How do you get all these people to assemble all these people? It's a collaborative art. I mean, a painter can just paint by themselves, where if you're a director, you have to assemble people, you have to collaborate with people. You can't do it alone. It's very difficult to do alone. So I spent a number of years, a good 3.5, 4 years, trying to find the money for it. And being in Canada, which has some advantages in terms of we have great tax breaks, we have access to government funds and sources. It's great. I didn't get any of it. I struggled with it. I tried. Sometimes it's a matter of you're not in the club yet. Even after doing a lot of short films, I was still considered the new filmmaker. I'm an untested, brand new filmmaker, because I'd never handled 80 or 90 minutes of drama. I've done the 5-minute, the 10-minute thing, but making a short film is a completely different beast than it is to shooting a feature film. We shot for an entire month when we shot, and it's exhausting and tiring, and you have to make sure that everything connects to everything else when you put it all together, and that's different than shooting over for a couple of days with some friends and making your movie, where you can do it for a few $1,000s. So it was taxing. It was very difficult to do it, and I ended up having to do all of it privately, and to try to prove to people that I can handle a 90-minute story. And I had a lot of people say, well, no, you can't do it, you're not allowed, you can't have the money, you can't do this, you'll fail. You kind of get a lot of roadblocks along the journey to doing something, and I'm just really tenacious. I'm a dog that won't let it go of a bone, so I just pushed, and eventually, even though 90% of independent feature films that are really low funded fall, they don't complete, they kind of just all crash and burn. So we're kind of, anybody who makes an independent feature film and actually gets it completed, kudos to you, because it is a hard task to get through. You hear about big budget movies and how they spend millions of dollars, and a lot of people, I think, the average person thinks that's waste. But people's salaries and time and buying food and catering and just the mechanics of making a film can add up. I mean, we shot for a month and 35 people for an entire month. So you have to feed 35 people for a month, and then they're not making, how are they paying their rent back home, and how are they taking care of their bills? It's difficult. It's very difficult. So I'm proud we made the film, got it completed, and it's awesome to be sharing it with audiences. done, then they have their film. Making it is one thing, but then getting it distributed is another. Obviously, there's the revenue side of, I've got investors who want to get paid back, and film festivals isn't a revenue generating prospect, right? It is an opportunity to share it in front of a live audience, to get known, to get recognition, to just go through this circuit of sharing it with audiences around the world. So, when my film was looking at, getting it out there, you search around and you try to find places where it might be interesting to kind of show it. And the Chandler International Film Festival, comes across one of the festival sites that allows you to search for sites, and you look through it, you read through it, you do some research, you look at the website, you kind of, and the one thing about Chandler is that it's, for the festival at least, it's first time being here, first time being in Arizona, first time coming, flew in, got up early in the morning, flew a long time to get here from Canada. They're taking a chance on me, and I'm taking a chance on them. As a first-time festival, it's you come here, and it could be an absolute dreadful experience. It could be unorganized and horrible, and people could be really nasty and mean, and they don't show your film properly. And there's you know what I mean. It can sometimes festivals set up, and they're actually just generating revenue for themselves. They're not really doing it because they like the filmmakers and the films. They do it because people are shedding out $50 a go, and hey, great, we get 2,000 people to give us $50. Look, we've made a whole ton of money, and then they have some sham of a festival. They're not doing that here in Chandler. As far as I'm concerned, this is the best first-time film festival I've ever been at, right? In terms of the venue is great, and everybody I've met so far has been fantastic. And then beyond that, I was lucky enough to once we knew we were in the festival, and I collaborated with Matish, and we talked about stuff. I suggested, I got an opportunity to offer my services to actually do a workshop for them, which I love doing. I love sharing my experiences, making shorts or features to try to inspire and educate a new generation of filmmakers. I mean, back home in Canada, my job for the last 12 years has been as a film professor for Confederation College in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I see hundreds of students over my time, and it's everyone has a story inside them. Everyone has people want to tell stories, and if you're choosing, some people choose music and they write music and they write a song. Some people get into ballet. Some people get into painting. Some people want to tell it in a cinematic way. Some people want to tell it in a movie or a short film, and it is a business and an art form. There's an art form and craft to it, that there are certain things that one must do when making a film to improve your chances of success. I love sharing the mistakes I've made and the good things that I've learned as a filmmaker, and sharing those with filmmakers. We had a smaller group today that came up to the workshop, because I'm sure they all looked at it in the program and thought, workshop with Lee Chambers, and thought, who's he? He's a nobody. If it said workshop with Steven Spielberg, it would have been packed. But I am not Steven Spielberg, and I'm glad I'm not. I am Lee Chambers. I'm happy to be who I am. And we had a small group of people that were passionate and excited, and it was a fantastic workshop to be able to share with them and inspire them. And I'm hoping that next year, someone else comes in here and they have a bigger crowd for a workshop. And I'm hoping that one of these 20 or so people that came out to the workshop today are inspired, and actually maybe it pushes them to go a little bit further and to actually do a little bit more work on the script, and to go out there and actually make something. So Chandler's they're doing it right. They're doing it right, and they're doing a good job. Be humble. I did my workshop today, and I don't profess to be the best director or producer or writer in the world. I'm just a guy I've learned from other people, and I've done the things I need to do in order to make the movies I make, and I love sharing it with people. And so I'm humble to all the people who worked on my movies. I appreciate every single crew and cast member that took the time and believed in me on my films. And I think that being humble and being a little bit tenacious, because sometimes it's easy to give up Sometimes it's easy to go, you know what, it's hard to do this. It takes work. Hey, anything worth doing takes work. But that goes with anything. There doesn't have to be filmmaking. It could be anything you do. You have to be hungry for it. You have to want it, and in the end, you have to work for it.